everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Spin Sucks Fireside Chat. I am Jenny Dietrich. My guest today is the author of The Conversion Code, which I've read not once, not twice, but 3 times. I made my team read it. I made my mastermind group read it in our book club, and I have more than gently suggested that our clients read it, kind of forcefully if they'll do that. But I actually have to give full credit to our family friend, Carl Rectanas, who is a very, very dear friend. And he said to me over the summer, have you read The Conversion Code? And I said, I haven't. And he said, read it. I would really be interested in your thoughts. And I was like, another business book. I don't want to read another business book. Fine, I'll read this book. I'm so glad he did, because I literally have 6 pages of notes from reading the book and 2 pages of tasks to accomplish. I'm done with about half of them, probably finish the rest over the holidays.
Cool.
I tell you all of this because you're in for a very, very, very special treat. Chris Smith is the co-founder of Curator, a digital marketing and sales coaching company. He uses the method presented in the Conversion Code in his own business, which has helped him build a 7-figure business without capital. And for those of you who are Fireside Chat watchers, viewers, you know that I'm a big fan of people who bootstrap. Much of what he recommends in the book are what things communicators should already be doing. And while I know my team is very sophisticated when it comes to this stuff, I truly do have 2 pages of tasks to do. So the book was also published on my birthday last year, so he wins twice. Welcome, Chris.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, and glad you love the book.
Yeah, I'm a big fan. I literally make everybody read it. So, and I'm not a big business book fan, so there you go.
Hey, me neither. That's what I try to make it a textbook. I mean, those are the books I like, the ones that are very practical. Like I hate it when people say, "Oh, if you learn one thing, if you just learn one thing at this conference, it's worth it." Or if you just add one thing to your business, it's like, I don't think it's worth it. If I read a whole book, like, it takes a long time to read a book.
Yeah.
So I just try to pack it with as much information as possible. Obviously, as a practitioner of the advice myself, not looking back later in my career saying, right, here's how things used to go. I'm saying, here's what I'm doing right now to grow my business, my client's business, my buddy's business. And I think that there's a repeatable process.
There's definitely a repeatable process. And what I love about it is it's strategic and it's tactical. So you have things in there like, do click to tweet and use Y-stamp. And you're like, yeah, you're right. I should be doing that. And then it's very strategic. And you actually have the book split into 3 parts, which I feel like can be read alone or in tandem with one another. So you have capturing leads, setting appointments, and closing sales. And I feel like most professionals are really good at just one of those things, but you sort of advocate that they should be good at all 3 of them. So how do you recommend that they do that?
Well, that's a challenge. That's why I think the book is so popular. Because you look at most people that are great at marketing, they would fire themselves if they had to call leads.
Right.
And then if I go down to the boiler room and ask the sales team to run a marketing campaign, it would fail.
Right.
So I just had a really interesting set of experiences where I actually learned how to sell first. So that would be kind of the bottom of the funnel, right?
Right.
I worked for a couple different billionaires. I worked for a $1 billion company. I worked for a startup that got bought for over 100 million. And at each of these businesses, there was a room full of people calling and having conversations about the product.
Right.
And so for me, that was just that layer that had to be there before marketing made sense. And I think for most of the people listening, just before we go deeper into any tactics, you're missing the sales layer and you're spending too much time on the Snapchat layer.
Yep.
So I think if there's an order, like if I'm a human or a business or a fan of yours or mine, I don't like inviting company over to my house without cleaning up. So I don't want to really generate leads if I'm not converting them. And I don't really even want to generate traffic if I'm not in a position to capture the lead in the first place. So I tried to make it like choose your own adventure. Hey, if you're great at marketing and you suck at sales, just go right to chapter 3 or section 3. But if you're really good at sales and you don't have enough leads to call, go to section 1. But if you actually have leads, but you're not turning the leads into conversations, that's sort of that middle section. Which is where the CRM, email marketing, SMS, automation. So that, I know you have a question about sort of how do you do it, all that. And all I did is I grabbed a pen and paper and I'm like, okay, if I had to start over, right? If I had to start with what most people have, which is either blank page or wrong, right? Most people have it wrong.
Right.
What do I need? And I'm like, well, I need a website that looks great, and I need a blog, and I need some lead magnets, and I need landing pages. And then once I have those, I need traffic from Facebook and social. And then once I get that traffic, I need to email market to that traffic. I need to incubate those. So I just drew it on a piece of paper, and it looked like if you ever seen A Beautiful Mind, that movie where Dr. Nash has. So I'm like, man, I bet this is what people's brains feel like, when they think about this. They go to a conference, they listen to a webinar. And if I can, I grew up playing video games, and there was always cheat codes. You could type in a code and it would unlock, invincibility, or you could get unlimited ammo, right? So there was a game called Contra. And like a lot of people that are going to hear this can already tell you what the code is. It was up, up, down, down, left, right, BA start. And when you would put that in, you got unlimited lives and weapon. And I thought, what if I could sort of turn Facebook, landing page, email, and selling into kind of a up, up, down, down, do this, and you'll unlock kind of really the power of the web, quite frankly. The people that are not getting the internet right are not getting marketing right.
Right.
It's another topic, but a lot of people are just stuck in the old ways. We ask people all the time, hey, what are you doing to keep in touch with your past clients? Tell us a little bit about how you feel you're doing. Oh, I'm doing great, Chris. I send them a Christmas card every year. I have a party once a year that they love. And I send them a handwritten note on the anniversary of their home purchase. Wow. And it's like, okay, what about the other 362 days?
Right.
Not to say that, you want to stop. That's what it's about, is kind of take the belly to belly people person mindset, take that networker, that kind of belly to belly ideology. And it's just more fun when there's a lot of people coming in your funnel. So if you like to talk to people, just think of the internet as more people to talk to.
So one of the things, and you started out by saying you started with sales. And I think that's really important, because one of the things that we've been hearing for the last 10 years is inbound marketing, where we shouldn't have to pick up the phone anymore. But you're advocating that, you absolutely have to pick up the phone.
I mean, I just think it's a fallacy that if your product is expensive or semi-expensive, like HubSpot is a great company. I got a chance to speak at their conference, Inbound. Actually, on my YouTube channel, we put the top 8 takeaways from HubSpot, because it's like $20,000 to bring me and my team. And we learned a ton. But Zillow, I'll give you another example. So let's use HubSpot and Zillow. Those are dominant digital first brands.
Right.
And they both grow their revenue, even though they sell online ads, even though HubSpot's an inbound marketing company. They have a boiler room doing outbound sales to inbound leads. So they call it inbound selling, right? And it is different when you're calling somebody that registered for a blog post versus somebody that registered for an appointment. But I think that what I would say about inbound marketing for the people we work with small business owners that don't necessarily have Silicon Valley money. They're not allowed to lose money every quarter. Right. I think I saw where HubSpot starts to get an ROI in year 4. Like most people would be out of business if that was how they had to run their business. So for us, it's like inbound marketing takes too long. For most business owners. So we believe in it. We do it. Books, blogs, podcasts. We have more marketing and content than most people listening. But we also do direct response marketing.
Sure.
So we do lead generation marketing. We do lead conversion email, not just newsletter, not just register for my blog, right?
Right.
So we're being very purposeful, and a lot of companies are being passive. The other thing, this is huge. This was a breakthrough for us and our clients is, you can't think about it like you're saying content. Inbound marketing starts with content.
It does, yeah.
But what we've developed is a simple framework, a simple acronym called CAB, okay, which is create, advertise, blast, right? Our clients, I mean, if you went into our mastermind of all of our customers from Curator, they're going to say, who's cabbing what? What are you cabbing? What, right?
Interesting.
Because what we learned is that the C is useless if you don't get people to it.
Sure.
And the best way to get a lot of people to it, if you don't have a lot of time and you're limited on resources, is a Facebook ad.
Yep.
And a blast email. So instead of hitting publish and then kind of sharing it on Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn, we never stop when we hit publish. We create and then we advertise and then we blast. And here's the key to that. If right after you publish a new piece of content, you're going to run an ad, you're going to make sure the content's better.
Yes.
So if you had to spend $500 boosting a post on Facebook every time you published an article, would it stop you from publishing some of the stuff you do?
Absolutely.
Is that a bad thing? I don't know. I know at HubSpot, they said they get 90% of their leads from 20% of their content.
Wow.
So I would say that inbound marketing is a layer for your business. But I would also do traditional advertising. I also do outside sales, inside sales, outbound calling. I think that's really where the money's made. We didn't even really have a product at Curator. We literally curated like MailChimp, WordPress, Unbounce, Lead Page.
Yeah.
And we API'd it all together. Yeah. And that was our product. And we sold it for thousands of dollars a month because it included service and support and setup and coaching. So I don't know. I just think some people, they think they need to do more than they do. If anybody listening wants to remember one simple thing, it's if you cab once a week, you will be in the 1% of businesses executing. Jeez. Once a week, create something good, advertise it properly, email it to the right folks. Yep. Because the email piece is really important. Because like if you have a sales team, their goal is then to call the people that the email gets interest from. Right. You got your ad running, so that gets us new leads to call. Yep. But then you got your blast, which gets us old leads to focus on too. It's not that complicated, Jenny. I mean, is it? I
don't think so. And one of the things I always recommend people do start with, especially if they're like, I don't read business books, I don't want to blah, blah, blah. Start with I think it's chapter 3 in section 1, which is Facebook ads, because it teaches you exactly that process. And I think people tend to overcomplicate that process because I don't know why, but you have a very simple process. Do you want to talk about it?
Yeah. I mean, well, we're blessed now. I mean, back in the day, it was trial and error, throw it against the wall like everybody else. Yeah. But at this point, we built something called Curator Brain. So every time a client that uses our tools runs an ad, it adds that ad to our database for other customers to use.
Wow.
And so they can sort, like what got the most clicks, what got the most open rate, what got the most video views. And so we just believe fundamentally that all great marketing starts with great ideas. It's not great tools. And as a busy business owner, you're not maybe the best person to come up with all those ideas. Sure. And even sometimes you have a great idea, it doesn't work, which sucks because, limited time and resources. So if you go to Curator Brain and you log in, you're going to basically have a template that's proven. And then you just have to apply that to your current initiative. Right. But you can kind of search by like, what was the budget? You can see who they targeted. A lot of that data is normally only available for your own stuff. Right. Absolutely. So our kind of motto this year is stop marketing alone. Get help. Leverage the campaigns that have already been run before you, to put those best practices into play for yourself. Stop guessing and start growing. So is it pretty much everybody's okay with you sharing their stuff and their data and all that just because
They're all...
Our clients pay us thousands of dollars a month for access to that. So
Wow.
you give a little bit of your own and you get 900 other people's stuff, and all of our clients pay over $1,000 a month. So they're really sharp. We also have limited availability by area and industry.
Okay.
So if a real estate agent in 90210 wanted to, become a member, there would never be more than one other person in that same zip code as them.
Yep.
For small businesses, if you're a chiropractor in the zip code that you're in, we would not bring on another one in that same zip code geographically. So by offering that exclusivity, people, I think, are a little more comfortable, but I agree. Like, I don't think MailChimp is going to do this. I don't think HubSpot's going to do this. And
not at all. Right.
That's why we think we're going to do really good, because if you can build a community and a reservoir of proven marketing collateral, people are going to rather have that. They don't care if they use WordPress or anything else to deploy it.
Right.
So we kind of have ideas as the first step, but you can read books, go to blogs, watch videos, listen to gurus. Like we're not the only source of proven ideas out there. Sure. It's just that, swipe and steal is an attractive option.
It is an attractive option. And
you know what's funny you said about which should come first, though, sales or marketing? When I went to HubSpot, I asked the audience, my topic was $1 billion boiler room best practices. It was in
some nice alliteration too.
Sales track. Okay. And so I just wanted to poll the crowd, like, how many of you guys are actually in sales or marketing? And more than half the crowd was in marketing, because they suck at sales. Sure. And they think people are going to buy their stuff online, and they're learning they're not.
They're not.
And they're learning that when they get on the phone to talk about what they do, they can't talk about it as good as they can do it.
Yep.
So when I had a line of people at my booth for a book signing afterwards, it was all the agency owners saying, "Thank you. This all makes sense now."
Wow.
And so I do think that there's a thirst from marketing to learn how to sell.
Well, and
sales guys are not asking me to teach them how to do Facebook ads.
No, I imagine not. So you do work with small businesses who don't have a boiler room. So what do you suggest in that situation? One person, two people, marketing does it?
Well, I mean, just to be really honest, if you're a one-person operation, you're not really a business.
Right.
I mean, I don't want to be a jerk, but, that's a solopreneur.
Sure. But if you have like, I'm trying to think of a client. A client has 60 employees, but doesn't have a boiler room.
Yeah, you don't need a big boiler room, but you need somebody focused on making your company money every day. And as the owner, sometimes you get caught up in the servicing the customers you have, right?
Right.
So we just really believe in people, humans, imagine that. Now, I will say that if you don't have that capacity right now, there are times of the day and there are days of the week that if you block a couple hours, you have the best chance of people picking up when you call.
Right.
So, here's my thing. You're so busy that you can't make calls, right?
Right.
But you don't have enough money to hire someone.
Right.
So who's wrong?
Yeah.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's just something you have to be really self-aware. I'm too busy to follow up with leads, but I don't have enough money to have somebody help me. Well, then you're not a real business.
Yeah.
You're just running in a circle.
All right. It is time for our speed round. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Let me get my big gulp. Let me get my big gulp out of the way.
What is your favorite blog?
My favorite blog? Man, it's so funny how blogs are changing. I feel like podcasts are the new blog.
Well, that's the next question. So
yeah, okay, good.
Don't ruin it.
No, it's fine. I want to think of a really good answer here for people because there are so few good blogs.
Yeah.
I would say the quick and easy answer that won't get me in trouble is definitely Seth Godin.
Yeah.
Seth Godin has these just short, simple, concise blog posts every single day, but I would say 1 in 10 kind of leads to an epiphany.
Yeah.
I would say Seth Godin's blog is the blog that comes to mind. I think for your audience, the Intercom blog, which
that's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah. And then there's a company called Envision. Envision builds like design prototyping tools. So like if you're kind of building a website and want to be able to collaborate in real time. So I think the Envision and the Intercom blog are both really good. And then another good one is Baremetrics. Baremetrics is like a payment collection company, but they've got killer content too.
Okay, so favorite podcast?
My favorite podcast, I don't ever like saying favorite or best, just because that gets me in trouble sometimes. But I would say the podcast that I find myself listening to the most when I want to learn something in depth, because like that's what I like to teach. So you got to go learn it. It's called Perpetual Traffic, and it's from Digital Marketer. They've got just a really freaking sharp team of people that know what they're talking about. I'll give you one idea I learned from them recently, which was called a boomerang ad. Video ads on Facebook are hard to get leads. It's easy to get the views, and then it's hard to get the leads. So they tried something where they put the video out there and got all the views, and then they created an audience that viewed more than half. That's an option on Facebook. Right. And then for that audience, they did another ad to a landing page. So it's sort of like step one, get the views to just build the audience for step two, to then deploy the landing page. So, that I do so much complex, advanced sort of teaching that I rarely learn. Right. And I do learn from Digital Marketer, and I don't know them. I've never met them. I did mention them in the book, but just have a lot of respect for Ryan and the company that he's built. Awesome. We have to definitely check that out. That was not one I've heard. Yeah. Their archives are bananas. What is your favorite cocktail? My favorite cocktail, well, obviously, I don't want to make one up that's cooler than the one I drink, you know what I mean? Just because I know my staff will watch this and they're going to be like, no, that's not your favorite cocktail. So I have like a weird stomach issue, and like certain foods and spices and liquors cause me to kind of really have problems. So the one that I'm able to drink socially that I drink every time is Crown and Diet Tall. Well, that is a cocktail. Yeah, Crown and Diet Tall. And that formula works for me. That works for you. That is my drink of choice. All right, that's good to know. Red Vines or Twizzlers? I'm gonna go with a third option, which is Swedish Fish. Oh, Swedish Fish is a good option. Yeah, I'm actually I go through these phases with candy. I get addicted to different candies. I'm in my Swedish Fish phase. I have had a Gobstopper phase, a Runts phase. I'm trying to think. You like the really sugary stuff. I'm the same way. Yeah. Yeah, but right now, if I see a thing of Swedish Fish, you're done for. Yeah, that's good to know as well. So Crown and Diet and Swedish Fish. Cycling or running? Meaning, if I had to choose. If you had to choose. That should obviously give you my real answer. I had a back injury at a young age where I actually fractured a couple vertebrae in my back. It was like a fluke, kind of a fluke accident where oh my gosh, I was standing on a porch and the porch collapsed basically from having too many people on it, and I kind of took the worst fall and I broke my back. So from then on, I've never been able to run really. If I go run even a couple miles, it's really difficult. And that trickles down to your knees and everything else. Sure, so I would say cycling over running. See, I'm so glad I asked that question because we never would have gotten that story. Yeah. What was your last vacation? Well, my last vacation, the one I'll mention is it was just a great time. I think we've had one since then, but we went to Punta Cana. And we did like an all-inclusive with me and my wife and kids, kind of a 8 days, 7 nights, awesome resort over there. And that was the first time I'd ever done like an all-inclusive. Oh yeah. And it was just, the food, the drinks, the staff, the hospitality, the excursions. We just had a great time. So Punta Cana, Dominican Republic. My favorite vacation ever was Machu Picchu in Peru.
Oh, I'm
People
jealous.
haven't heard of that, Google that one.
Yeah. I'm actually, my sister-in-law asked me just last week if I would do that with her in March. And I'm like, yeah, kid's not old enough yet for me to leave for 2 weeks.
Yeah, it was fun. We flew to Brazil, where my wife is from, dropped our kids off, and then flew to
Nice.
Peru. And it is tough to get there. You got to fly to one city, fly to
Yeah.
a smaller city, take
Yeah.
a train, take a bus, take a car,
Wow.
and you're starting to think you're going to get killed. Quite honestly, you're like, all right, these guys are about to just kill me because you don't know where you're at. You
You're
could,
right. You don't speak
and
the
all of a sudden,
language.
it's just like, oh, you're in the middle of the most beautiful place in the world. So
Wow.
yeah, that's a good one.
Well, that is on my bucket list. What's your guilty pleasure?
What's my guilty pleasure? I would say that I have a challenge switching from work mindset to home mindset. Like it's a challenge I think a lot of people deal with. So I need something sort of in between to kind of like, this is, I prefer one frame over the other. Just, I need that buffer. I live really close to home. Sometimes I work from home. So a guilty pleasure for me would be just like NBA 2K on PS4.
Love it. Yeah.
You know, having a chance to just sit down and play a couple of games in a row. It's very difficult to think about anything but, you know, the actual game. And
do they have cheat codes on that?
You know what? I barely do that, so I don't know the codes. My son, let me tell you, he's got all the codes.
That's funny.
Yeah.
So, well, what's next for you, Chris?
What's next?
Any new books? Any big
I'm working on some great projects. I mean, our motto, what I try to do, I don't know when this will come out. I think it's late in the year. And I know a lot of times at the end of the year, people really start thinking about, you know, what are the changes? I don't think about them as resolutions. It's really, what are the changes I need to make to get better personally and professionally? And so I always go through this process of, what can I spend my time on next year that A, I'll enjoy, and then B, will have a huge impact on the business.
Sure.
And I try to whittle it all the way down. So last year, our motto was go big or stay home. Mm-hmm. And what that meant was, if we really believe in ourselves and pull the right levers, we can become much bigger than a real estate marketing company.
Yeah.
You know, we got to 15, 20 million in revenue from one industry. But when you're in that one industry, you get pigeonholed.
Sure.
So for us, go big, man. Let's start working with small businesses, with agencies, with authors, with bloggers. Let's start competing with Salesforce. Let's start competing with HubSpot. Let's start competing with the Marketos and Infusionsofts and ClickFunnels of the world, because we admire those companies when we see their scale.
Right.
It's inspiring, and it makes us feel like, okay, 15 million needs to be 15% to goal. Right. Like when you start believing, like, you know what, we can get to 100 million in revenue if we keep working hard.
Yeah.
So we kind of have that mindset. So the stay home was, if you don't go big, you're going to end up in the real estate space and you're going to be good.
Right.
So over the last 12 months, like, I just got back from Ty Lopez's mansion in Beverly Hills. He is probably the biggest social media influencer on the planet, and just absolutely starting to network and teaching classes for his mastermind. Getting interviewed by him about the conversion code, which he found at the bookstore in the airport. Eric Thomas, one of the top social media guys, one of the top motivational speakers in the world, Dr. Eric Thomas, he's now a Curator client. So he's one of our first kind of non-real estate initiatives. I'm also going to be a part of Gary Vaynerchuk's first real estate event. And Gary V wrote the foreword to my first book. So for me, this year is all about just the go big. Like, I had a chance to interview Gary Keller, and he started Keller Williams, which is, I think he's a multi-billionaire, and it's the fastest growing real estate company of all time.
Wow. And
when I interviewed him, he said, the biggest mistake I ever made was I'd never thought big enough. Most people don't think big enough. They actually need to think bigger and then multiply that, because you're going to live your life anyway. I think the analogy I would use is, if you're a realtor and you have to sell a $400,000 house. It ain't that different than a 800,000.
Right.
Some of them will tell you it is. Some of them will say it's not.
No.
There may be times where if you go too expensive, it is different. But ultimately, it's about the same checklist for either sized home. And so I just started applying that logic. So what's next for me is to think bigger. Like if you took me back 10 years and said, Chris, what are your goals? I would have limited myself. I would have set lower goals than I would have hit.
Interesting.
You know, the income goals, the featured in goals, the who do I know in my network goals, the ink list goals. I would have actually limited my success if I would have set goals. So now what I do is I think about what am I working on and how can I go bigger? So, we're going to do one webinar a month.
Right.
Okay. How can we go bigger on that? Like, how do we partner with a person? How do we partner with a company? Okay, why don't we do this? Let's get 100 companies to give us $500 each, to give a 2-minute pitch each, and let's take all the money they give us and use on ads to build the list for it. So we're doing that in January. It's called Pitch Fest.
So smart.
But that started as like, let's do at least one webinar a month, right? So I just challenge people to like, put down what you're already going to do. I don't know you. I don't want to dictate your to-do list. The book has a to-do list that'll take you 3 years.
Yes, it does.
But like, as you do each thing you do, just what would the triple successful, quadruple successful version look like? And why not think bigger? And I always remembered that. So this year was go big or stay home. And next year is keep thinking bigger.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Well, thank you so much for your time. Like I said, I'm a big, big fan. I hope everybody goes out and buys your book because I might even buy it for everyone because it's that good. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's on Audible as well. I know a lot of people prefer the audio book.
They do. They do.
It has like almost 600 reviews on Audible.
Wow.
It's on Amazon. And then it's actually at a lot of the airport bookstores.
That's awesome.
But yeah, it's funny. It came out and everybody bought it and read it. But then when the audio book came out, everybody read it.
Isn't that funny?
I just think we live in a world where just be self-aware. If it's going to sit there for 6 months, get the Audible version. And then what happens is it's very technical, right? I'm like teaching you how to build a funnel.
Yeah.
And so you can't learn that on audio.
Right.
So, so people are basically starting with the audio and then they're going over and getting the real books.
Yeah.
Anyway,
it is one of those books you have to have. You actually have to have.
Cool. Thank you for saying that.
Thank you for being here. I really appreciate it.